ELYSE TV.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven, and today I'm here with just like a chill girl talk kind of rant. I didn't even plan this video. I didn't write anything down. I didn't plan anything out that I was gonna say. So this is gonna be interesting, but basically I got on Twitter and I took a little Twitter poll and I asked you guys, if I were to film this type of girl talk video, what topic would you want me to speak on? And I gave you guys a few options, and the winner was the topic of love/dating and just like relationships and all that stuff. And I told you guys that I would tell you kind of some stories from my experience. And the reason why I said that I would tell you guys some stories is because this video really is not going to be like an advice video. I'm not really going to be giving you guys any advice or trying to tell you guys how to date better or how to be in better relationships or anything like that. I just really don't feel like I'm in a position to give you guys that much advice on dating and relationships specifically, because first of all, I'm single, so they always say like don't take dating advice from a single person, and second of all, I mean, my dating history really has not been the best, and honestly it's kind of, well, not kind of, it's pretty embarrassing. And if you're like me, if you can relate to me on this with kind of having like an embarrassing dating history or a bad dating history, or just having a lot of failed relationships or whatever, then you know that it can be kind of like hard to talk about it with other people, especially if you're surrounded by people who are in happy relationships, or you're surrounded by friends who seem to really have no problem dating and they don't really go through these issues. It can be really hard to talk about it, and you feel very left out, you feel like an outcast, you feel like there's something wrong with you. I definitely know how that feels. I've definitely been in that situation. Like I said, right now I'm single, and I don't know, I just thought that I would make this video just to kind of, I don't really know what the point of this video is other than to just have something for some of you guys to relate to. Some of you guys are not going to relate to any of this stuff at all. Some of you guys are going to be looking at me crazy, you're going to be judging me, you're going to be laughing at me, you're going to be rolling your eyes, you're going to be like, what's wrong with this girl? Or just like, dang, that sucks, but hashtag can't relate. But for those of you who can relate, for those of you who are currently struggling or have always struggled when it comes to relationships and stuff, I get you, I'm here for you. We're on the same level. I really don't care. Like, I've already decided sitting down filming this that I don't care. I don't care if you really judge me. I don't care if you're gonna go in the comment section and try to preach to me about what I should have done differently, or what I need in a man, or what I need to do is find somebody who does this, and what I need to do is focus on myself first, and what I need to do. I can already predict all these comments that people are gonna be trying to give me advice or give me wisdom because they're older, or they have already been there, or they're in a happy relationship, so let me tell you how to do it, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's gonna be people like that, and there's gonna be people, like I said, who are just laughing at me and just think I'm dumb, and there's gonna be the people, like I said, who can relate. So I am gonna be talking about specific guys that I've dated in this video, specific situations that I've been in. I'm not going to be mentioning any names. I'm not going to be trying to put their identity out there. So hopefully nothing messy happens with that. But honestly, I don't think any of those guys watch my videos. If they do, that's kind of weird. And if they do happen to watch this video, oh well, I mean, it's old news. It's like super old news at this point. So for starters, I guess I'll just wind it back to middle school, because I feel like middle school is like really when everybody tends to start getting into the whole, like, not really the real dating scene, but like having crushes on people and stuff like that. And so that definitely happened for me probably around like 7th grade or something is when I really started to like have a crush on someone, and oh, I like them, I wonder if they like me back, blah, blah, blah type of thing. But in case you don't know, growing up through my childhood, I was very, very shy. I was very, very awkward. I was very, very just like reserved. I had my small little group of friends. I felt like I was just different than all of my classmates. I felt like I kind of at times stood out in a bad way, but most of the time I would try to not stand out, and I would try to kind of be in the background and just like chill out and not have all eyes on me or anything like that. I was just extremely, extremely shy and quiet for the most part until I got around like my two little best friends. Then I would be cracking up and cracking jokes and my personality would come through, but for the most part I was very shy. So for me throughout middle school, it was mostly just me taking the back seat and witnessing my friends go through like their first crush, their first boyfriend, their first kiss, all that stuff. Like I wasn't experiencing those same things. I was definitely just in the background watching, taking notes, whatever. My friends in middle school, they were definitely like starting to have their first little boyfriends, which like boyfriends really do not count in middle school in my opinion. You're in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. You're like 14 at the most. And it's like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're just doing this because it's something cool to do. And yeah, you may have a crush on this person. You may end up staying with this person forever. But really in the moment when you're like 13 years old, it doesn't really count. It's not really that big of a deal. But it's just kind of breaking you into the scene and you're kind of seeing what it's like to have a crush for the first time. And so I think it's cute when you have like your little boyfriend in 7th grade. But that just wasn't me. Like, boys did not have crushes on me. I never had boys pass me notes or say, you know, tell their friend like, oh, I like Raven, can you tell Raven I like her, blah blah blah. Like, that was never happening to me. It was happening to my friends, and I might be like the middle ground person who would go relay the message, but it just wasn't happening to me. It literally happened to me one time. Super embarrassing situation. It was a boy that I didn't even like, but I felt pressured to take the bait or whatever and like pretend like we were dating for like 2 days, because it was like, well, I guess this is what you're supposed to do when a boy likes you. You like hold his hand in the hallway or sit next to him in class or whatever you do when you're like 13. And I think I was like, I didn't even have a cell phone at that point. I don't think I got my first cell phone until I was in 8th grade. Like, going into high school, I think is really when I got my first cell phone. So there wasn't even any like texting or anything like that. I think we might have had like instant messenger, like Yahoo instant messenger or AOL, whatever, and I think I might have like talked to that boy like on there, but I didn't even like him and I really didn't even talk to him in school, and it was extremely short-lived. I think it lasted for literally a week or less, and then it was just like, never mind. But since all of my friends were having those experiences and I was there to be the listening ear, oh, I'm heartbroken, they would come tell me their problems, or they would come tell me who they like, or someone told me this and that, you know, all the drama and the gossip that surrounds it. I was like always like hip to everything and listening to everything and experiencing everything secondhand, but just like I said, it's never happened to me. So like going into high school, it wasn't like I was just completely blind to the idea, or I was completely sheltered, or I was completely just like, you know how some kids, they really have no idea about the opposite sex. They have no idea about having crushes or liking boys or first kisses and stuff like that. Like, they're just completely sheltered. They have zero experience. Like, they're just so pure and so innocent even when they're going into high school. I wasn't that pure and innocent in that sense because I had witnessed it. So I felt like I knew everything even though I hadn't done anything or actually had it happen to me. So when it comes to high school, I think I've told this story a couple of times here and there in different videos, but I made the personal decision when I went to high school, when I was starting my freshman year, when I was 14, I made the decision that I was going to be somebody new. I was going to break into this school. I was going to change my whole look, my whole personality. I was going to break out of my shell. I was going to stop being the quiet, shy girl that nobody noticed, because I really hated being so overlooked in middle school. I really hated feeling like I could never speak my mind. I could never be myself. I could never be outgoing. I could never have confidence. I just felt so like just low self-esteem overall throughout middle school that I really wanted things to be different in high school, and I wanted to make a conscious effort to actually change. And the thing was, I was going to be going to a different high school than everyone. I actually went to private school in elementary and middle school, and then all of my middle school friends were going to be going to the private high schools. So I was actually going to be going to public high school. So none of those people from middle school were going to be going into high school with me. I was going into this brand new public school by myself, have no clue, don't know anybody there, starting fresh basically. And I was super freaking scared, trust me. I cried, but I was like, hey, this might be an opportunity for me to like break out of my shell, like I said. So I remember the first couple days of school, I pushed myself so hard to like speak up, make friends, meet new people. And I also pushed myself to like wear whatever I want, like express myself through fashion and like makeup and hair, whatever I wanted to do, and just like completely be myself, I guess. So I don't know if it was because of that or for whatever other reason, but in high school I do feel like I got more attention from guys. So basically my first high school experience, like first high school little boy, this is all like so freaking like ew, like it's making me cringe just thinking about all of these different like guys that I liked or that I like dated or whatever. Ugh, it's just so like cringe worthy because I don't know, like everything I did in that time was just so like ugh. But anyway, the first guy that I liked in high school or whatever was actually, which is gonna be funny if he watches this video because he's gonna know exactly that I'm talking about him, but whatever. It was actually like a family friend type of situation where like my parents knew his parents, and so that's kind of how like we met, and they're like, oh, y'all are going to be going to the same high school, cool, y'all should meet each other, cool, you have siblings that should meet each other too, whatever. And so that's kind of how I knew him going into high school already, and then of course I saw him at school. And then I remember basically one day in class he had asked this other girl in our class to ask me, can he have my phone number so he could text me. And so the girl came up to me after class, oh, blah 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 said he wants your number, and I was like, okay, like literally like this is the first time ever in history that this is ever really happening to me. So I'm like, cool, like I'm all excited. And so I gave her my number to give to him, like super childish, but this is like, I'm literally 14, this is freshman year. And so he ends up texting me, and we're like texting back and forth, texting every day, texting, not talking on the phone, not talking to each other actually in class, in school, like basically avoiding each other in class because now it's awkward, but just like texting. I'm like, oh my gosh, he likes me, oh my god, I like him back, blah 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 blah. He actually, oh, this is so like ew, he actually was my first kiss because at one point we did like build up the guts, I guess, to actually like in person meet up after school and like hang out. Not, it wasn't even hang out, it was literally like see each other for 2 seconds before we got picked up after school. And that's when my first kiss happened, literally like this, so awkward, like basically ran away afterwards, like super childish, super like just like whatever. But that was like my first little experience, I guess. And then like I ended up getting over, I think, I don't remember if it was him or me that like didn't like each other anymore, or we stopped talking or moved on, or he found some other girl that he liked. I don't even remember what happened, but it just did not last long at all. Like it was probably a couple of weeks at the most that we were like texting, and then it was just like whatever after that. So then I want to say there was about 2 more guys after that, which with these guys, this is when something weird started happening, where upperclassmen guys started showing interest in me. And I was like, this is major, this is a big deal, like oh my gosh, he's like 2 grades higher than me, he's like an older guy, like whatever. It happened twice where like 2 upperclassmen guys was like, oh, can I get your number, blah blah blah, like trying to talk to me at school, flirting with me at school, coming up to me in the cafeteria. You know how guys do in high school, like just trying to like catch your eye, trying to like joke around with you or brush up against you or whatever. And you know, ended up getting a number, and then like I said, it's just texting, like everything was about texting or whatever. Like I don't know if it was still MySpace at the time. I think it was still MySpace at that time, like messaging each other on MySpace, oh, you're in my top 8 friends list, oh. And it was just basically all very superficial like that. Like we're not spending time together, we're not talking in person, we're not even like seeing each other at school, because like I said, half the time I would be avoiding these guys at school because I'm awkward and I'm like scared to see them. Like I don't know, just super like lame like that. But never brought them home to meet my parents. My parents didn't even know that these boys existed or whatever, as far as I'm concerned. It was basically all through texting, and then it would just fizzle out and that would just be it. And there would be like little drama here and there, like, oh, I heard he was texting this other girl, and like we would have a text fight, like text back and forth, or like post like a little shady Facebook status about it. But everything was so just not one-on-one, not real, not meaningful, and it wasn't a real relationship at all. And I think that was completely normal for the time period, for my age and for the time period. This is like what, like 2008, 2009. I'm like 14, 15 years old. So this is pretty much what everyone else around me was doing as well. So it wasn't like unusual. But looking back on it now, I'm like, that definitely was a waste of time, because there was times when I still really got my feelings hurt about it. You know, I would still end up heartbroken over these guys. I would still end up crying over these guys, and it would be drama and stuff. And it's like, for what? Like, you're not even in a real relationship. Why are you all spun up over this? So then my first real relationship that actually broke through the barrier of just texting or just MySpace was this one guy. And I used to talk about this guy so much. This was like the big thing in my life at the time. There was nothing more important in my life at the time than my relationship with this guy. He was an older guy. Again, I believe I was a sophomore when he was a senior, and I don't know what it even was about this guy. I think at first it was just that he was older. He was like an athlete. Oh my God, he's so cool. He has lots of friends. He's friends with like all these different people. Like, everyone likes him. Everyone thinks he's cool. He showed interest in me first. I think it was probably like on MySpace or something. Again, like, oh, hey girl, message me. Hey girl, you're cute. Can I get your number? Whatever. Then we start texting. So it started off the same way, just texting, whatever. But then it actually grew into something more. It actually lasted longer. We actually talked at school. We actually would hang out for a second, like after school, before I would get picked up by my mom after school. And like, he played basketball, so like I would go to his basketball games and stuff. And it actually just started like kind of growing into like a real little relationship, you know? Until it finally got to the point where I was like, okay, he's the one. I'm so in love with him. This is it, y'all. I have to bring him home to meet my parents, which for me, the thought of bringing a guy home to meet my parents was like just the freaking end of the world. Like, it was so scary. It was something that made me so nervous, so anxious, so just like, like it was just a huge deal, because my parents are cool and they're friendly, and they're not like, I wouldn't describe them as like scary, strict people, but they're also not like, oh, I'm your friend, I'm not your mom, I'm your friend. Like, they're not like that. They're like, I'm your mom, I'm your dad. Like, there's a clear division here. Like, I don't know. They don't take crap from people. I don't know. They're parents. They're not my best friends, they're my parents. And so bringing a guy home, especially to my dad, it was like, like, they're gonna grill you, this is gonna be such a big deal, like, they're gonna hate you, like, oh my God. So I was even scared to even just ask my mom, like, hey, like, I don't even remember what I said. I think I probably wrote her a letter or like sent her a text or something, because I was too scared to even come and say it to her face. But I think I like wrote her a letter saying like, hey, I've been seeing this guy, or I like this guy, he's from my school, like, I want him to come over to the house and for y'all to meet him, or whatever. And yeah, I believe it was like a text or a letter or something like that. And then I was like so scared to like, it's like when you send a risky text and you throw your phone across the room and you go and hide because you don't want to hear the reply. It was like that, and I was so scared of what she was gonna say. And she was like, okay, well, just tell him to come over. So I invited him over, and I like prepped him first. I was like, look, this is serious. I want you to wear this shirt. Don't wear this. Don't say this. Don't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Like, be very, like, I was just so like stressed out about it. And he finally came, and it wasn't even like that bad. Like, my parents literally like, hey, what's your name? Like, quick little get to know you thing. Then it was like, okay, bye. And like, we went upstairs, like in the house that we lived in at the time. It was like big open stairs, big open, like everything was kind of like open in the air, and you could like hear everything. So my parents were downstairs and we went upstairs, but it wasn't like we went upstairs, like they could hear everything and like basically see us upstairs. We were just up in the like more open area, which was like our game room where the TV was and stuff. And we were just like sitting up there like watching TV. I believe, if I remember correctly, we were like literally sitting up there watching TV, eating popsicles. Yeah, that was like my first experience of like bringing a guy home, and like, oh, this is such a big deal. And I remember feeling so like I just broke a barrier in life. Like, I just did something in life. Like, this is really going somewhere, whatever. And I actually ended up being with that guy super off and on. Like, we literally broke up like every day, but we would like get back together. Like, broke up. Like, what does it really mean to break up if you're like getting back together every other day? But anyway, we were super off and on, but it like lasted like a whole like year, I want to say. Like, my whole like sophomore-ish year, sophomore through junior year, I want to say, is like when I was like dealing with this guy. But we still never went on dates or anything. We still never hung out outside of my house or school. I had never been to his house before, never like met up with him somewhere or went to go do something with. I think I went to the movies with him like once, or like went to the mall with him like once, but I don't even think I was supposed to be there. I think I had to like lie to my parents and be like, oh, I'm going with one of my girlfriends, but really I was like meeting up with him because he did have a car and he did drive. I didn't. But I mean, I guess there was opportunities where he could have been like, oh, I'm gonna come pick you up, let's go here, let's go do that, but we never did that. Like, I don't know if it was just that we weren't those type of people, or that I was too scared to get caught or whatever, but we literally never did anything like that. The most that would ever happen was like I would stay after school and go to his basketball game, and I would try to stay as long as possible after the game to wait for him to come out to like see him real quick, and then like my parents would be picking me up and going home. So I don't know, it was still, even though he came and met my parents and hung out at my house a few times, it was still not really a real relationship. Like, we did not go out on dates, we did not really hang out. Like, yeah, we saw each other at school, but I don't know, it was still very petty, very superficial. But in my head, it was so major, it was so legit, it was so real. This is what real love feels like. This is the guy I'm gonna marry. Like, he's my soulmate. I talk to him, will text him all day, every day. Like, yeah, we break up every other day, but we get back together and blah, blah, blah. And there was so much drama with this guy. Like, oh, if you guys have been following me for a long time, I ranted about this guy on like my social media so much because there was so much drama. Like, he had like this best friend, but really like she was more than a friend, but he was trying to tell me like, oh, that's just my best friend, and then me and her got into it, and then he and I got into it, and then it was like this other girl that he was talking to, and me and her got into it, blah blah blah. And then there was one point where like this girl was like my best friend at the time. There was this other girl, and then he started talking to her, and she started, I mean, it was so much like, oh, the tangled web we weave, like type of situation where there's so many different people involved and crossing paths and getting mad, and he's mine and he's yours and blah blah blah. Like, just so stupid looking back on it. Drama just to have drama, like starting drama on purpose type of stuff. Not me, I was a good child, okay? I never cheated on him, I never two-timed him, I never did any of that shady stuff. It just wasn't in my personality. Like, I'm just barely getting over the fact of being insanely shy. So for me to take it to that next level of like trying to like cheat on him and do all this stuff, like that just wasn't in my nature, wasn't in my personality. So I never did anything. I was never the one starting the drama or causing the problems. It was always him and some other girl and some other girl and blah blah blah. And I would just have my heart broken like every week. Something would be going on and I would be so freaking heartbroken about it. Cause like I said, I was like, he's the one. He met my parents already. We shared a popsicle. Like, in my head, it was a really big deal. So anytime he would play me or break my heart, it was like such a big deal. And I just remember feeling so low at some points. Like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why doesn't he like me the same way that I like him back? Like, why does he treat me this way? Why is he always cheating on me and playing me and just making me look like a fool, talking to this other girl, blah blah blah, and everyone knows about it. He doesn't even care that he's making me look dumb. And like, I would be in a depression about it like every other week. That at one point, I guess it just kind of all like blew up and we finally broke up, like for real. Not to mention he was older, so he was going to be graduating anyway and leaving, and actually he had already graduated. By the time we actually like broke up for real, he was already like, it was like a long distance relationship that we were having because he was already graduated out of high school and he was going to some college that like wasn't that far away. And I was trying to like have this long distance thing with this like guy who was in college, and I was still like a junior or something in high school, and it just was stupid and it was a waste of time, and it made me feel so bad about myself. And for what? He was not worth it. He was not worth it at all. Like, what is wrong with you? I guess that kind of finally ended like my junior year of high school, and really since then I have not kept in touch with him at all. Like, I think I've seen him randomly maybe once. I think like I literally have not talked to him. I don't know what he's up to or what he's doing or how he has changed or whatever. Like, I barely know anything about him since then. And I think that's for the best, because it's like some people are really just not meant to be in your life long term, not even as friends, not even as associates. Sometimes you just don't need people in your life, like point blank period. And it's not like saying they're a bad person, but there was no reason for us to, you know, be together like that or even be friends. So that's somebody who is just completely not in my life anymore, and I believe it's for the best. So then after he was like my first real boyfriend in high school, I did have one other real boyfriend in high school after that, which was kind of funny because he was like the new guy at school. He came in his senior year, and I believe, yeah, I was a junior, he came in, he was a senior. He showed interest in me and I was not interested in him at first, but over time I kind of like took the bait or whatever, and I was like, okay, let me try this out, whatever. Once again, started off with a bunch of texting, a bunch of online stuff, but he was more different because he was really more adamant about like, you know, let's talk in person, let me see you at school, let me, like, he really wanted to break through that barrier of just texting or whatever, and he would really push me to like see each other in person and stuff, and like meet up at the park and just to talk or whatever. And he was actually really sweet, and I have kind of kept up with him a little bit into the future, and I see that he still is a really good, really sweet guy. He was like into like music and stuff, and I think he still does music now. Really talented, like just a cool guy overall. And I also was friends with his younger sister, so that was kind of like a cool connection that we had. Sometimes it caused drama, but for the most part it didn't really like cause drama. And like, yeah, I mean, overall they were just kind of like a cool family. I was cool with the whole family, knew the mom, knew the sister, knew him, and it wasn't really much wrong with our little situation. He actually came and met my parents as well, so this is the second guy ever coming to meet my parents. He came over to the house, which it kind of was inevitable because like I knew his sister and everything like that, so it wasn't as much of a scary like meet the parent situation, but we still did that whole thing. But the thing was, he was so cool, he was so sweet, and he was so, you know, nice to my parents, and my parents thought he was really cool. But I actually found out that he was like two-timing me, like cheating on me. Even this guy who was so sweet, he was still like cheating on me. There was this ex-girlfriend that he had, and of course he told me everything was completely done with them, like I don't talk to her anymore, blah blah blah. But I found out that he was actually traveling to go see her behind my back and stuff like that, and it was just like this whole thing where it's like, dang, I can't even trust you. But we talked about it, I thought we worked through it, and I was actually in my senior year about to graduate, going into college, and I was going to be going away 3 hours away to my college, and I was like, okay, we can stay together, we can do this long distance thing. So I went away for my freshman year in college, and we were still trying to stay together, but I just instantly knew like this was not gonna work. Like I didn't want to be in a long distance relationship in my freshman year of college. Everyone always tells you like don't do that because it's gonna like hold you back and blah blah blah. And I just already knew I didn't want to do it. Like we would try, like it was so cute. Like we would have little Skype dates or whatever, and we would really try to like talk every day and FaceTime. I don't think FaceTime was a thing at the time. I think it was still just Skype or whatever. And so it was like cute for a second, but it just got old, and I just personally knew that I didn't want to do it anymore. So I actually broke up with him, and it was really sad because he didn't want to break up with me at the time, and it was kind of like really my first time actually breaking up with someone instead of having my heart broken for once and getting dumped and getting played and getting cheated on and all this stuff and being like, girl, bye. That's what always happened to me. Finally, for once, it was me making the decision to break up with someone, and it was really sad actually, but you know, eventually we both got over it, and we kind of kept in touch for a little bit after that. Like I said, like we tried to be like, oh, we can still be friends, that whole thing, and like it worked for a second. And like I said, like I saw that he was like moving out of state and pursuing his music career, and I was like, oh, that's cool, like you're moving on with your life, I'm moving on with my life because I gotta do this whole college thing. But after a while it just fizzled out, and like at this point we don't even talk at all. I don't even have any connection to him or communication whatsoever. So now we're getting into the juicy stuff, which is college, because now I'm a single freshman in college, new to the school, we gonna hit the town. Not really, like I was really what do you call it, like just very not reserved, but like I had my roommate, and she was really like the only person I ever really talked to. I really kind of went back into more of my shy tendencies when I got to college because I was just very overwhelmed, like, oh my god, this is college, this is legit, things are going to be different now, things are going to be so much harder and more serious, and oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And I just kind of went into it like pretty nervous, and so I didn't really try to like just be talking to everybody and doing everything and going here and there. I really kind of stayed to myself with just my roommate, whatever. But before long, here comes the next guy in my life, and this guy turned into such a big situation. I never would have thought that this guy would have been this guy and be such a long drawn out situation, but it was.